Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page on prophetic writing, which I invite you to read. Um, I will start the video as guided to acknowledge individuals who steal my identity, my intellectual property. They are using my identity in order to do harm on others and on me. And of course, it's a warning, so you will be cautious in both in material existence, but mostly in astral realm, in case they intend to use my identity to connect to you in any way. You can still use the comment section, but just don't interact with others because usually they're trolls. And be assured that even if you write a comment and a question, I will answer it. I answer all questions, regardless who posts them, simply because I think every information shared about spiritual fighting coming from God is important, and could shed light for someone to defend and to fight for themselves. In this video, God has guided me to bring additional light upon a specific topic which I already approached in my previous videos, in initial videos mostly, and basically to just put it in the context of recent information which I shared with you, and that is related to all the videos that I made initially, explaining that I do not recommend to anyone to accept reconciliation with individuals who have been involved in creating bondages on them. Call it as you want. You can call them karmics, you can call them narcissists, you can call them whatever. But considering the recent information which I have been sharing with you, God asked me to specifically put it in the context, namely to point out the fact that all individuals who at one point or another have been involved in creating bondages on you are involved in a very broad network of numerous links between different type of organizations which are professionally mercenaries in creating bondages. They earn their income by creating bondages on people. They don't really have a normal job, but they do have a job description and a task, and they are paid and rewarded in material goods in doing this. Most of them, once they get involved in this network, most of them take part or at least have information about bondage created on you. This exposes them to blackmail. It is not easy for them to break free from these networks. All of them, as I explained in the video about the generational curse, all of them are interconnected between them. It's the rule among these organizations to basically take percentage, all those who have been creating bondage on you, take percentage from further bondage being created on you. Even if they don't know each other, the individuals don't know each other. However, as I said, the bondage they create it through a convent which has rules. And one rule is that all those organizations who created bondages on you initially, they will get percentage from the further bondages created on you. And this, to be very clear, creates energetic cords between them. Yeah. So I'll give you one example. If you're a woman and the man makes bondage on you at one particular time in your life, but then you split, you move, you leave, you don't meet that individual anymore, they will send another individual to create bondage on you. And because the previous individual takes percentage from that, they use the same type of embodiment. So they will be sharing at different times in life the same embodiment to do either the same bondage or a different bondage on you, but they are connected through contracts, basically between connections between the convents in which they work, even if they're in different convents, and through energetic cords, yeah, because they do the same embodiment. The energetic cord is created on one hand by sharing the same embodiment, but on the other hand by sharing money. This is very important, and by the fact that they are under the auspices of the same generational curse, which is enforced on you. Yeah, so they are interconnected among them. So even, let's imagine, one individual wants to break free and to do good, to do right by you. That if that individual comes to you, but he has been involved in creating bondage before, he will bring to you all of those who are connected to him, even unbeknownst to him, even if he doesn't know who is connected to him, even if he never met that individual, still there are connections between them. So they will bring to you all of those who have been involved in that bondage creation. You must understand this. Of course, in an ideal world, that individual will do bondage breaking and will break free completely. But until that individual does repentance, redemption, and break free completely, he will literally bring to you each and every single one of them. On one hand, through these cords, which I just explained, are created through contracts. Yeah, so they're automatic, sort of say, but also through undeserved forgiveness, which he gives to individuals involved in bondage creation in this matrix, if he doesn't fight properly against them. Yeah, so I would imagine God keeps pointing out to me that there should be individuals who actually do break free completely and do fight against the system of bondage creation of this matrix, but that will not happen suddenly, and will not happen peacefully. It will basically sorry, this is one of my puppies. He's with us and he's just wants to play. So basically you have to understand that this is important. Some of these strings are automatic, and some of this is basically basically that individual will bring to you a lot of them, a lot of will give power to them, let's say it this way, will give power to them with all the spiritual fighting which he didn't do, he didn't finish. Yeah, so I once again emphasize what I said in the initial videos. You shouldn't receive anyone back. You shouldn't do reconciliation. Of course, it's much easier to carry on your purpose in spiritual fighting if you're together with a soulmate or a twin flame or a partner or whatever. But there are no, in the current timing, there are no conditions for two individuals to come together and be completely free, because we are all still in the phase in which we are still fighting to break free from generational curses on our own. So you, literally, until you actually finish breaking off these generational curses, it is too much of a risk that you're taking upon yourself, basically, in partnering with anyone. And of course, the broader picture is that you did come here in 3D to do spiritual fighting. You didn't find here to create couples, and you didn't come here to create children. This is probably a very tough pill to swallow for some who think of partnership and couple together in terms of 3D. But you understand that as long as you make a child, you create a child, you give them the opportunity to create further bondage and generational curse on that child. God has shown to me that normally the individuals who actually created 3D, they don't have divine rights of reproduction. This is one reason why they are targeting us, because literally, they want to come together with one of us who came here to fight and to liberate this 3D in order to make a child to continue the generational curse. If you have a child, the generational curse will continue. First of all, your spiritual fighting will be much more complicated if you make a child, simply because you cannot, as an individual, you can take risks and cut off connections much easier if you don't have a child. Including, I'll give you an example. I resigned. I didn't have a child. If I would have had a child, I would have had different concerns for the safety of the child and the material expenses necessary to support the child. It's much easier as an individual to continue your spiritual fighting and to make bold moves in your spiritual fighting. If you have a child, it's much more complicated. But more than that, if you have a child, they start making bondage on your child as well. So you have to fight until the child reaches a certain age. You have to fight for both of you to break your bondage, to break the bondage created on the child. So you must understand that this is, I know this recommendation of not having children will sound weird, but this is the truth, you know. They only exist in 3D because individuals from Divine Realm came here to do the spiritual fighting, and instead they were tricked into getting in relations with them and to make children, and these are the karmic children. You, first of all, jeopardize the DNA of the child. Because if you make a child with a karmic, guess what will be the DNA of a child? So you must understand the higher perspective considerations over this issue, over both of these issues, over having a child and over being in a marriage or a couple. So this is ascension, and this is a time when God decided that this must end, the 3D that must be dismantled. So particularly at this point in time, really, it's not advisable that you make children. It's not advisable, simply because huge turmoil is upcoming. Huge turmoil is upcoming. And again, I state the forces which feed on darkness, they are already at culmination point in their metamorphosis. And this is why you have witnessed a lot of recent wars, including the Middle East, including other areas on Earth, but also you have witnessed pandemics, and you will witness much more of this, because these are sacrifices which they make in order to preserve 3D. So this is clearly a timing when it is not advisable that you give more chances for them to attack you, but to focus on yourself and to carry on your spiritual fighting. Yeah, although of course God is showing to me to say that of course God desired for all of us who came here to do the spiritual fighting to be in couple relations so we can support each other, but God wants only those who are in light and who are carrying the same purpose, and they are, but basically, as I said in the previous two videos, the circumstances we are facing now have nothing to do with what God foreseen when we initially came in incarnation. Meanwhile, they created a lot of bondages using the concept of twin flame and soulmates. As I said, they knew exactly what are the connections between different identities, different humans, souls incarnated in human embodiment, and they created bondages when we were young children on your twin flame to destroy you. So he's the hitman for you, and the other way around, For the man, the hit woman is the one with whom you were supposed to be many times. Or if they didn't succeed to achieve that, to pull in one of the twin flames, then they created numerous doppelgangers, and they will make sure that you only meet doppelgangers, or that you have enough addictions, so you will reject your own twin flame if that comes through you, and to prefer to partner with a doppelganger of hers, to betray her, to do harm. So there's a lot of bondage done on couple relations as they were conceived by God. There's a lot of bondage created on that, to that extent that it becomes more detrimental to you to go in a partnership, even with the individuals with whom maybe you have been meant to be in a partnership, just because there's too much bondage on each of you. And many times the other one betrayed already, is already enrolled in creating bondages on you. And that's a betrayal he's doing on God and on you. But that's his choice, and that's his problem. You have to carry on your fight on your own if he doesn't come out of this darkness. And I can speak on that with confidence, because I have done it myself. Yeah. You can do this, you can do it on your own, and many times it's better for you to do it on your own than to focus on partnership. So this is really, really important. Now, I know many individuals are focused still on being in a couple, but that is, at this point in time, is detrimental to most situations. I will not speak off the top of my head for each and every single individual on the face of the planet. But I must say that in most circumstances, your twin flame and your soulmates are already either fighting themselves against you, or they are carrying on their own bondages that they need to break free from. They need to heal, they need to do the spiritual fighting. There's still a long way to go until they actually get to come to you in a beneficial form. Okay? And then the problem that I would see from a human perspective is that if you have done your spiritual fighting and you have stayed the right path, and you give chance to an individual who continues to betray you, because for them to get out of this madness in which they put themselves through their bad choices, it takes time. It's a back and forth situation, and you don't know what's the end result, and you don't know how long it takes, because it is very hard to break free. I tell you, it's because a lot of projection is being done on you. I face this, a lot of projection done on me, a lot of attacks with spirits and necromancy and so on, in order to force me to give undeserved forgiveness, to change my mind about calling judgment on somebody. A lot of it is being done. So if I was never part of them, and I face these attacks, imagine an individual who's been part of them. For that individual, it's even harder to push these attacks and of energy and witchcraft and so on. So it's going to be a back and forth situation of that individual between leaving them, staying with them, taking whatever route to detour and whatever. So you must understand that if you give a chance to this individual, you will relive the betrayal many times. And you will start hating that individual, which is a human reaction to somebody who keeps betraying you constantly, and you keep giving chances and so on. So you will pull upon yourself so much darkness that you will start losing from the advantage you have gained through your own healing and spiritual fighting. So you will have to cut that individual off. And it will be for both of your good. I explained this in other videos. Just because as long as you are in a couple with that individual, all the dark forces and all the darkness attacks carried out on him will also feed on you, because it's a string between the two of you. Yeah, so you actually give life to the forces which are attacking him, instead of spiritual fighting truly is done in isolation until you reach a certain level and ranking. You have to be in isolation, because each and every individual you meet, as I explained, will be used against you, even unbeknownst to him, and particularly more so in a relation, a couple relation, because of course couple relation means that you have feelings for each other. By having feelings, you already create cords between the two of you, and from this point it's very easy for them to use that against each of you. Yeah, so this is very important. God asked me to come back to this topic and to put it in the perspective of and against the background of the recent information, hoping that people will understand better now the message I have sent all along, and will understand for me why I refused and I continue to refuse to have any connections with them, and I also continue to refuse any dialogue with them, simply because I know that they will use every meeting in order to do harm, even if they themselves have a moment of truth and want redemption and want to come clean, to talk to me. Those who they are connected to will use that individual to attack me. Okay, so I continue with the same decision, of course, but also I'm hoping, and God is hoping, that you will understand the logic behind it. Yeah, and I have been experiencing this. I told you. I already gave examples in my videos in which I explained that in 2018, when I became aware of all of this being done in astral, when God revealed all of this to me, because that's when God came to teach me to claim justice, judgment, and punishment, because I didn't know even why I'm doing this, but God has just do what I tell you, and then he started showing to me why. This one has done this, bondage on you, this one has done this one has done this, So at that point in time, I gave chances to everyone to do redemption. I said, if you want to do redemption and want to work with God, this is an opportunity. Those were the ones who actually did the surprise attack on me. Those to whom I gave chances to do redemption I gave them chance to work with God through my project. I created a project, and I just gave them the opportunity to do redemption. But I said, if you come clean now, God will help you. Just make a body of knowledge of what type of attacks are being done, and how can people break free from them. And if we make this public, then everybody can break free. And you will gain a lot from God, because you have done a good deed. Even, you see, this is a topic which they don't like. And also there were a lot of attacks all throughout the night. And I said, you will gain a lot, because you have been involved in bondage creation, but if you do redemption, God will give you a dispense, because you are helping many people to break free, so that's important. And they decided to turn around and do a surprise attack at me, and they used that only. So I gave you just one example, but I gave many chances. This is not the only one, and I know from experience the exact individuals to whom I gave chances turn around and try to destroy me. So I'm not, as I said before, everything that I share with you is from personal experience. It's nothing that I recommend to others, that I didn't test myself, and I didn't make sure first on my own that this is the right path. Yeah. So again, God has guided me to shed light once again about on the topic of being in a couple, and accepting to be together, or to get married, or to make children, and all of this 3D type of logic. And you must understand, God is showing to me that they are using the children. They want to make children because they don't have the right to reproduction. They cannot create children. Yeah, so they need one of us in order to create children. Because this is how they actually perpetuate the existence of 3D. Yeah, so they actually need to do this. And also God is showing to me to talk about another topic which I actually was not gonna talk about, but it seems like he wants me to point it out now, although this video is already 25 minutes. Also, much of the type of not only couple relation, but I don't know how to call them. I would call them man-woman relation, but nowadays it's everybody with everybody. Although God has shown me to point out something that I discovered recently in my research, particularly about sexual relations, and namely that God has shown to me that all these use of sexuality, particularly in this new type of open relations and very superficial, frugal way to deal with sexuality, basically, not cherishing your body and not being selective with and not having a deeper understanding of the meaning of sexuality and so on, is being used, and also the couple relations, but also broadly speaking, the sexual interaction between individuals, be it the same sex, be it man and woman, be it whatever, is used for these individuals who, again, they those who are actually guilty of creating and preserving the 3D, because not all of them are, but some of them, many of them are guilty of creating and maintaining the 3D. God basically nullified their divine rights to make children. Okay, so they do this because they want to pull the divine feminine. So they created all of these open relations and all of this superficiality in dealing with sexuality, let's call it elegantly, basically in order to create the same sex type of connection. Really, this is their goal. God has shown me this. And God has shown me because they need the female in their group to get the energy from a divine feminine. This is also why you have the doppelgangers. And they need the males in their group to get energy from the divine masculine. This is why they created the same-sex type of connections. And they use a lot of darkness attacks on individuals, and all of this sexual revolution where everybody is talking about open relations. There should be group sex, there should be this, there should be that, there should be... No, there shouldn't be any of it. It's just a blurring of your values and of your understanding of what's the impact of use of sexuality in a superficial way like this, and in sharing your body with anybody and with groups of people, and all of this madness which is happening, because to some extent, up to a point, the purpose is to blur your conscience and your values and your choices, your ability to make right choices, yeah, to confuse you through deception, to create addictions on you, which they can use later on in order to push you into an addiction, to push you in wrong choices, to push you to choose something which they actually wanted from you from the very beginning. Yeah. So literally, this is one of the recent discoveries God has shown to me. I think even like yesterday or the day before, that literally this is what is aimed at. Because they don't have the right to reproduce, so they don't literally, they just they don't create children, so they need children from those coming from light, and they also need to feed. It's literally, God has shown to me like the bees do, you know, like going and feeding the queen, you know, exactly the same. And they need the divine feminine to feed their own queen, and they need the divine masculine to feed whoever is their king, because they do have this in their organization. Yeah, they do have this kind of hierarchy, and it's not always the same individual who's the queen or the king, but in any case they need this. to feed, basically, literally to feed on energy, and of course to steal rights, so they will have abundance, so they will have money, so they will have properties, and so on and so forth. Now it seems like God took me on a different path. I ended up with a different topic at the end. The initial topic was you're not supposed to be in couples in this particular time. Although God did foresee this initially, throughout this time of bondage creation at you, it has been created so much darkness on those who were supposed to be couples, and much of it is being created in order to harm each other. To that extent that at this point in time, you're better off on your own. It doesn't mean you cannot speak to anyone and you should live all secluded without any contact or so. But here I'm talking about couple relations. The best is for you to isolate until you reach a certain level of bondage breaking where you actually are in your energy and you already pushed out much of the darkness being sent to you. And then you can, of course, the end goal is that we will work together and we'll come together in 5D type communities. This will be the ultimate healing in 3D. God has shown to me this long time ago, but God has shown to me this when God has shown me years ago this, that we need to create 5D communities. God has shown me that until we get to do that, a lot of turmoil will come. There's still a long way to go until we will be able to do that. And if you focus on yourself and you break bondage and you do your spiritual fighting, you contribute in bringing closer the time when we will be able to do that. At this point in time, it's very hard to believe that you can actually create a 5D community because there are many attacks and because not enough people have been fighting to clean themselves from bondages and so on. And also, let me point out this, because the justice system in 3D has to make divine justice, has to put away some of these individuals, so for us to be able to create 5D communities and to be safe. Unfortunately, many of the individuals in all institutions, justice system, law enforcement, and all of other governmental institutions which hold power in 3D have different degrees of corruption, and many of the individuals who are employed in these institutions are corrupted themselves, and the bondages are created with their help and with them covering for those who created them, unfortunately. But this is the path forward. The justice system must come forward and must clean up their act, and they must start doing justice, creating justice, divine justice in 3D. This is their purpose. Whoever doesn't achieve purpose will face the consequences from divine justice. They must know. They pick up all the karma for everything that they cover up, for everything that they support, all these criminal acts. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end this. By now we already have 3 messages in one. I hope this helps, and I wish you a lot of strength and determination in your spiritual fighting. I will not wish you luck, because I think God will give you the luck. You just need to be very determined and to keep walking your path.